Good evening. It's now Sunday. Just a quick update on the titration journey. The last week's been pretty good in terms of no side effects, not like the previous week with my coffee mishap. So yeah, it's probably been the first week where I've kind of felt more level. No big ups and downs. I've been on this, the same. I've been on 60 micrograms for 7 days now. And probably the thing I've really realised this week is kind of come to that conclusion that where I was, despite what I was probably saying, I think there was a part of me that was really hoping that it would be like a magic bullet and everything would be, my life would be perfect and I'd be able to go on and do absolutely everything I've ever dreamed of, kind of thing. Sounds quite naive in hindsight. What it has done, where I've talked before about how the medication has helped my mind clear, so I've been able to kind of really, get some real thinking time without distraction of all the hundreds of thoughts going on all at the same time, and that kind of just general overload that then leads to like paralysis, like a mental paralysis, sometimes physical too. But what it's done, kind of this stability and this quiet mind, has really let me think about what it is I need now and what I want to do about it, which is probably what the medication's about. It's not there to kind of fix all your problems. It's there to give you the mental space to work these things out, which you can do before because you just get so overloaded. So the last week's been a real week of reflection, as well as I'll say it's been a week of reflection because I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I've kind of got to this point in life. And then from that, where I want to go, what I want to do. Because, one of the things that I've really always kind of featured quite prominently, or thought that's featured quite prominently for a long time now, is this kind of deep sense of it's hard to phrase it sometimes, this kind of deep feeling of not achieving my full potential. I've always, no ego involved here. It's just I've always thought that I am capable of so much more, but I couldn't understand why I wasn't achieving it, or why I couldn't seem to do the things I needed to do in order to get where I wanted to be, which I know now largely is because of the undiagnosed ADHD. So on that note, there's the thing that I really discovered was, how hard my self-esteem has been hit repeatedly over the years. And it's quite logical when you think about it. When you spend the best part of your life thinking you're no good, you're lazy, you're stupid, why don't you just do it? Why aren't you doing what all your peers are doing? Why aren't you doing what your friends are doing? And generally, it's what, and you add to that any sort of negative feedback that you've got, from either, parenting. I'm not blaming my parents at all, but with the rejection sensitivity, any kind of negative feedback, you take it personally, you take it very personally, through to high school. And I've, a while ago I found my high school school reports, and on their own they don't tell you much, but as you read through from start secondary school or high school to the end, to leaving, there's just this pattern, and it's a declining pattern, where it starts off about, talking about what model pupil I am, how I'm, always taking part, always I'm thoughtful, kind, considerate. I, participate in class lessons, doing the work, showing interest. And then as the years go on, the comments are the same. He needs to pay attention, he needs to be more disciplined, he needs to focus, he needs to hand stuff in on time, he needs to, if he does, and then you get to exams and it's, he's, all the predicted grades, they're very low, predicting like E's, F's and G's. He's saying unless he knuckles down and studies and does this, does that, then he won't achieve anything. I came out of school with okay grades, they weren't amazing, but it's that kind of feedback, and on the back of the reports where you write, this year I will try harder, I'll do my best, I will try to do more, I will make sure I have my homework, and all that kind of stuff, where you're kind of almost like, just trying to please, you're writing what you think they want to hear. And then through work, through, general either feedback from bosses or managers or, and if you're like me, I've had a terrible record of managers who, and this isn't just me saying it, it's other people have said, how do you end up with such bosses? But you build all that negative feedback up, and you assume that that they're all right, or these people, these comments, that, well, that must be what I'm like, and it starts to really kind of dig away at your self-esteem, how you look at yourself, how you feel about yourself. I've spent years masking, pretending that I'm okay, pretending that I'm on top of everything, just juggling, but barely getting by, really mentally fatigued to the point that just to get things done. And it just has hit my self-esteem. I realised that I'm quite a self-aware person. It's been said to me more than one occasion, but I didn't realise until this sort of last week how bad my self-esteem is. And people say, "Oh, why? You don't need. You're good at this. You're good at that. You're a great dad. You're always working. You always do your best. You always, But it's how you feel inside. It's how you feel about yourself, and it's not how other people see you. It is literally how you feel about the person that you are. And I'm not satisfied with the person that I am. And so on that note, what I've done is I booked in through my company's, or the business I work for, employee assistance program. I booked in some sessions for counselling just to work on self-esteem. What can I do to correct that? And so I ended up, doing that. I phoned the employee assistants and had a lovely chat with a lady on there who, listened to me for an hour, gave me really great feedback, was very intuitive, listened to what I had to say, and, I know she was listening because she kind of, after I'd finished talking, she'd really, kind of go, so, if I understand this correctly, blah, blah, blah. And she came to the same conclusion as me, is that, you are capable, you've got a lot of strengths, a lot of skills, a lot of experience, but your problem is that you have low self-esteem. So these sessions of counselling will be focusing on how I can improve that. And I mean, even in the call, they gave me a great piece of, or a great tip, which is if you are struggling with your self-esteem, a really good thing to do is to keep a self-esteem journal. Now, I'd never heard of one of these before, but it's essentially get yourself a notebook and just write in it what's good about you. Write in your skills, write in your values, write in the positive feedback that people give you, and you just repeat it daily. Because as you repeat it, and at the beginning you've really got to go over the top with it. You really got to blow your own trumpet. But the idea behind it is that, you know, if you talk positively, you don't necessarily have to even believe it, but the more you do it, the more you repeat it, the more you read it, you will eventually, your brain will create those neural pathways that will change or move away from the old neural pathways that were focused on all the negativity, which is, you know, where the low self-esteem comes from. So you repeat these patterns, and eventually, over time, again, it's a process. You should see an improvement in how you see yourself. You know, start to see yourself how others see you. So that's a really positive thing. And the other thing that has happened, as a almost as a almost as a result of these videos, is somebody that I who used to volunteer for the charity that I work with. He got in touch to say that he'd seen my videos, and he's been studying to become a coach, and he wants to, you know, work in kind of, you know, with ADHD adults. And he wondered if I'd be a willing guinea pig as he starts to build this. So I've said, yeah, absolutely, I'm willing to give it a go. So we're going to go on a coaching journey together, because again, you know, one of the things I talk to those around me kind of repeatedly is that, you know, I feel like there's something inside of me stopping me, and I'm not just talking self-esteem, but it almost feels like there's a dam blocking the river, so to speak, and I need to remove that dam for the river to flow. You know, obviously the metaphor for life, and moving on and achieving. So we're gonna undergo this coaching journey together. So that should start soon as well. And as I say, both these things have come about because I've got the mental clarity now, that kind of clear thinking space in my head, to really, you know, kind of dig down into what's caused a lot of my problems in life. It's not to explain everything, and certainly not trying to use ADHD as an excuse, but it is a reason. It is a reason why I've struggled in so many areas of my life. And, you know, now I'm on this medication, you know, I have that headspace to kind of undertake these things to improve the quality of my life for the future. And I really, you know, I've got no interest in dwelling on the past. It's not something you can change. You can, you know, change the way you know, see things, or how you've interpreted things over your lifetime, but you can't change it. So I'm all about, let's look forward. What am I going to do for the next, you know, how many years I've got left on this planet? So with those two things, you know, I'm feeling quite positive that, you know, at least I've got a kind of a plan ahead of kind of the next stages. And I think that's really important, that, you know, especially when you've had this diagnosis late on in life, and you're starting well, maybe not even having started the medication, but you do need to there is some responsibility. You know, you can't, it's very easy, and I'm one of those, you know, I wallowed in self-pity for long enough. It's very easy to sort of kind of blame the world around you for your situation, but there are things that you can do to improve it. And, you know, that's what I would encourage anybody to do in this situation is, you can't fix everything. So what's the one thing that you could do today that will improve your life a little bit? And then do it. And then repeat on the next thing, on the next thing, on the next thing. Get coaching if you need coaching, get counselling if you need counselling. But yeah, we can't do all these things on our own. You know, there comes a time where you just have to realise that you need help, and it's perfectly okay to ask for help. I think it's something we do as children, but as we grow up, as we become adults, there becomes a kind of fear of asking for help from people, for fear of looking stupid, fear of judgment, fear of looking weak, fear of looking whatever. It's all crap, really, but we build it up. So, you know, as adults, we're also learning. You know, every day's a learning day. And yeah, go and ask for help. If you can't do it on your own. So find the support you need, get it, and it will make your journey quicker and easier in terms of, not trying to do everything by yourself. So yeah, that's what I've got to say on that. And the other thing I want to say is, so my titration is being done through Psychiatry UK, under Right to Choose through my GP. So every week I get a monitoring form that I've got to complete. And this is one thing that really it did irritate me. Is that there wasn't any real guidance when the forms are sent out, and I got sent like 2 or 3 in the first couple of weeks. And so it's like, right, well, I filled the first one in after I've been on the medication for 4 or 5 days. There's no point doing it before that. But then they chased me after 2 days, and said, well, I'm going to do it on these days. Then I'll leave it a week, do another form. But then I got an email from them saying, you've missed out a form, so that's going to count as strike 1. Because essentially that if you miss 3 check-ins or 3 monitoring forms, they can kick you off titration. So that kind of riled me up a little bit. So, with Psychiatry UK, it's all done through a portal where you message, you can upload documents and such, and they can feed back to you. So I put a message through there, and I just heard yesterday that, it's fine. They've removed that strike from my name because there's obviously an error on their part. But the other thing I got was a message from my prescriber. So when you're going through titration, or when you're going to start it, you're given an individual who is called your prescriber. And they're the ones who see your monitoring forms, you give your feedback to, then they reply to it, and so on. But I got a message yesterday, after only 3 weeks on, is it 3 weeks? 30, 40, no, 30, 50, 62. So yeah, only after, I think it's 3 weeks of titration, saying, you seem to be handling the medication really well. Let's talk about moving you on to shared care with your GP. And I was like, no, I've only been on this for 3 weeks, and in the last week, I've had real anxiety. My anxiety spiked. I had very low energy, low mood, which has all settled down now. I think I mentioned before, it may have been around other stuff that was going on, because it's been a kind of challenging couple of weeks through outside influences. So I said, no, I don't think so. I'm certainly not ready for that. And I said, I'd much rather, keep going as we are until we both agree that I feel that I'm stable and settled on this medication. And fair play to the bloke, he came back, pretty quickly and said, that type of feedback's brilliant, thank you very much. Absolutely agree. We'll keep going until we both feel that you're settled. So that's one thing you've got to watch out for. Whether there's this, because I know the waiting lists are so big that there's obviously some pressure on their end to try and get people through titration as quickly as possible. So, if you're in that position, don't feel forced. If you're not ready, tell them you're not ready. Because, they have to rely on your feedback, and you have to speak up for how you feel. And to be honest, I think you'll know if you're ready to come off titration, go back to shared care. But don't be bullied into it. Don't be pushed into it just because, they've got targets, or, they want to, hurry people through the system, because this is something we've got to live with all our lives. And, we need to make sure that, the medication that we're on is the right medication, the right dose, and there's no kind of intolerable side effects. It's got to work for you, and you've got to be seeing a benefit from the medication. So yeah, don't be led into thinking that, no, you're absolutely fine, and be bumped off it. You'll know if you're fine or not fine. So yeah, I think that, titration is supposed to last, they say it's like 12 weeks plus. So I think it's like a minimum 12 weeks. So at week 3, I was very much like, there's absolutely no way that I'm ready to just go, yeah, I'll just take this medication forever and leave it at that. I want this continuous feedback. When I can submit the monitoring forms, I want to be able to write down what's going on, how I'm feeling affected by it, and have them tell me whether that's something that will settle down, whether that's unusual, whether that's right, whether we need to change the dose, whether we need to change the medication, because they're the experts at the end of the day. I'm not. I can read all I want off of Facebook and Google, but I'm not the expert on prescribing medication, funnily enough. But I am the only one who knows how I feel. So it's really important not to feel bullied, hurried, harassed into finishing, or being where they want you to be. You're where you are, and if you give your honest feedback, they can't kick you out. They've got to go along with your feedback. So that's me on my soapbox. But otherwise, no, I think that those are two important things. I think that kind of clarity that the medication gives you, so you can really kind of focus on your life or whatever issues that you've kind of faced that you need to deal with. And from the prescriber medication part, whoever you're through, is don't let them push you around. They're there to look after you at the end of the day, and that's what they're paid for. So those are two important points. I think anybody going through this journey should know. Other than that, it's coming up. I've got the usual sort of week, but I'm feeling good. My energy's been good. I've noticed that unsurprisingly, my energy is better when I eat more, so more regularly. Because the one thing I still haven't really had is kind of I'm not really bothered with food at the moment. So I eat 3 meals a day, very, very little snacking, if any, and that's showing on the scales now, because it's hard to I don't want to make this a positive side effect, but as someone who's struggled with their weight the whole life, for me it's felt quite positive in that, because it's kind of the medication has eliminated all that kind of snacking that I was doing. I think I've dropped, how much is it? I think I worked it out as I think I've dropped about 9 pounds in about 3 weeks, which is quite it is significant. When I qualified as a PT, and I was coaching clients in weight loss and stuff, it was I say aim for 1 to 2 pounds a week, and that's that's absolutely perfect. You just but I think it's about 9 pounds in 3 weeks. So on the plus side, my trousers are fitting me better, which is nice. But the hunger is it's pretty much the same. I'm on decaf tea and coffee. I have one full fat coffee in the morning, but the rest of the day I just do caffeine for decaf. And alcohol. I had a glass of wine last night and didn't feel that great afterwards. I had a really crap night's sleep, actually. I think alcohol is going to kind of fall out of favour, which isn't a bad thing. I look at those as positive things. I'm overall, coming week 3, going to start week 4. I think it's week 4. I don't know. I'm still not very good at tracking time. Medication doesn't fix everything. This far into my journey, I'm pretty pleased with how things are going, and and I'm feeling more capable and more able to do even just the kind of the daily monotonous things. It's Sunday evening, and I've already started preparing the kids' lunch boxes for tomorrow, and I can tell you for a fact that has never happened. So it's lots of little things happen as well, whilst you're on this medication. that you might not notice, you might not pay any attention to, but they're all part of it. They're all part of making your life a little bit easier. And I'm quite pleased that I've actually tried to prepare for tomorrow already, because that's going to make my morning a little bit easier. So yeah, and I guess that's one of the things that ADHD has always struggled with, that kind of planning, that kind of like thinking ahead of like, right, if I do this now, then that's going to save me time tomorrow. It's not something I've ever done. So yeah, that's a real positive. We'll see if that continues. It might not, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll drop in again next week with how the week's gone. So I hope you all have a good week, and catch you next time.